and welcome back. Today's show is about grief. So, Webster's defined grief as a strong, sometimes overwhelming emotion for people, regardless of whether their sadness stems from a loss of a loved one or a terminal diagnosis that they or someone they love may have received. They may find themselves feeling numb and removed from daily life, unable to carry on with regular duties, while saddled with a sense of loss. Well, grief is the natural reaction to loss, whatever your loss may be. It's normal, it's natural to grieve. It is okay to grieve. Grief is both a universal and personal experience. Everybody does not grieve the same way. Individual experiences of grief varies and are influenced by the nature of the loss. Some examples of loss include the death of loved ones, ending an important relationship, job loss, loss through death, or loss of independence through disability. Experts advise that those grieving realize that they can't control the process, which is the hardest part. If you are a person who likes to be in control of everything and you go through grief, it is completely, um, I'm trying to find the correct word. It's an insurmountable situation because you like having control over everything. But this process you cannot control. So you're at a complete loss and you're having even more problems because you're trying to figure out what is it that you can do to fix the situation or what's going on to keep you in this situation and you're not normally the person who relies on others to help get you through things. It's more complicated, even more so for you. Understanding why people are suffering can help as they can talk to others in trying to resolve their issues. The most common form of grief is grief over the death of a loved one. Um, a little over a year ago, I lost my mom. The grieving process for my family and myself has been immeasurable. Everyone grieves differently. Everyone handles it differently. Everyone understands it differently. But you have to be more considerate with people and understand what they're going through. I was blessed with a very loving family to help get me through the process. I was even more so blessed with a loving job. Um, my place of work, they were understanding. They knew that I was going through. So it was easier for me than it may be for some others who also go through the same grieving process. It states that mourning can last for months or years. There's no timeline on your feeling loss, on your feeling your loss, on going through this grieving process. Again, everybody is different. Once you accept that you are an individual going through this process, that it's okay to feel the way you feel, then it's easier to move through the different steps. It says generally pain is tempered as time passes and as the bereaved adapts to life without the loved one or loss or to the news of a terminal diagnosis or to the realization that someone they love may die. And Again, take your time. Do what you need to do for you. It's not going to be the same for everybody. For me, the year has brought about so many changes. And one of the things that got me through was, we holler, what would Jesus do? There are some instances that I've sat down, twiddled my thumbs, and said, what would Brenda do? It's just, it is what it is. So it goes at a different pace for different people. There are 5 stages to grief, 5 different stages. A lot of us fail to realize that we're going through the stages when we're going through them, but this is for real. The first stage is denial. The second, anger. The third, bargaining. The fourth, depression. And the fifth one is acceptance. So you're going to make your move through those different stages, not at the same pace, not at the same rate, maybe not even in the same order. The first stage of denial helps us to minimize the overwhelming pain of loss. As we process the reality of our loss, we are also trying to survive the emotional pain. It can be hard to believe that you lost an important person in your life, or that good job, or your belongings even. Some people grieve over their belongings. The hardest part in my grief was I was with her the night before. Everybody knows I'm a brat. I am a spoiled brat. She had to put me out her house the night before. It was almost 11. It was dark outside. Yes, I should have been home in my own bed, but I was trying to make sure she got in the bed. So I did go through denial when my brother called me and told me what happened. What? You lying? Stop playing. Don't play like that. You playing, but I knew that he wasn't playing because he's not a jokester on that. So that wouldn't have been a joke he would have played on me at all. But it was hard, hard, hard for me to believe completely. Denial attempts to slow the process down and take us one step at a time rather than risk the potential of feeling overwhelmed with our emotions. So instead of just being thrust into it, that denial makes you feel like, okay, slow down. This can't be true. Take your time. This is what's going on. This is what's happening. It's just to help regulate your mind. Denial is not only an attempt to pretend that the loss does not exist, we're trying to absorb and understand what's happening. So it just gives you a buffer, for lack of other words, a buffer to understand, to feel, to actually get down to the bottom of your stage list, to accept what's actually happening. Anger is the second stage. It is common to experience anger at the loss of a loved one. That's just you trying to adjust to your new reality. Um, you may be angry at the situation, um, angry at what you didn't get a chance to do. You may be even angry at the person. There is so much to process that anger may feel like it allows us an emotional outlet. So if you get mad and blow up and what have you, that makes you feel like, okay, I'm getting this off my chest. Not so much. Keep in mind that anger does not require us to be very vulnerable. Anger allows the emotional with less fear of judgment and rejection. So if you get angry, you don't have to accept the fact that this is what I did, this is what I said, this is what happened, per se. And 9 times out of 10, the case is usually you had no control, none whatsoever. It's not in your control. You may even be angry about that part. Next comes bargaining. Not as much as with death as with loss. So even if it's um, a loss of a job, okay, I'll do better if you let me give me opportunity to show you that I can do better. The loss of a relationship. Okay, I'm sorry I messed up. I won't do it again. Please forgive me. The whole nine. Even so much as when a loved one has come down with a terminal illness, you'll find yourself bargaining with God. Lord, if you let me, then I will. Lord, just let them, give them one more chance. And I'm going, you know. And it's usually 9 times out of 10 or 10 times out of 10 things that you should have been doing anyway. Lord, if you bless my Aunt Sarah, I promise I'm going to be good to my neighbors. I'm going to do what I can. I'm going to pray more. I'm going to study my word more. I'm going to do everything, Lord, in your will because you're God all by yourself. When those are things you should have been doing anyway. There's an acute awareness of humaneness in these moments when we realize there's nothing we can do to influence change or to get a better result. So by the time you figure out nothing I do is going to change what's going on, nothing I say is going to make this any different. Nothing that comes from me makes this situation any better or any less. It's around that time that you realize you have no control. When you realize that it's not you, it's not you, and bargaining is not the answer. So while bargaining, we also tend to focus on our personal thoughts and regrets. A lot of times in big families, and I've been around several families that have gone through this issue, they tend to try to do more of a point the finger situation. If a person is grieving harder than another, someone gets stuck in the bargaining stage. And in the midst of that bargaining, even that person will tend to say, it's my fault. I did it. I wasn't paying enough attention. I wasn't doing this. I should have been going to church. I should have been reading my Bible more. I should have been not actually knowing that what you do or what you didn't affect the situation. We look back at their interactions with the people that we're losing and note all the times we felt disconnected or caused them pain. Your bargaining at this later date is not going to make that big of a difference. The next stage is depression. During the process of grieving, there comes a time after everything sort of calmed down that you really take on that this is what's happening. Bargaining no longer feels like an option. And this straight in your face, this is what you got to deal with. It ain't no turning back. Ain't no changes. This is it. You miss the loved one more readily. I mean, the loss hits harder. The days are longer, the nights are longer, all the memories come back into play. And, the adrenaline sort of dies off. You're not in the panic stage anymore. That's when that inner sadness starts to bloom and bust through, and you find yourself in a state of depression. You'll end up becoming less sociable and less reaching out to others. Well, I was accused of being depressed and being less sociable. My thing was I was getting myself together. It's not so much that I was in a state of depression, but there were things that I needed to do that I know had to be done. Um, Coming from a family makeup like mine, we were trained for different positions in our family makeup. And your job, one is going to be the mouthpiece, one is going to be the calm one going to handle the business, one going to handle the money, one going to take care of the family. So, I'm having to cover grounds and do things that need to be done and make sure this is taken care of. So I didn't have time to be socializing and checking on friends and contacting people to let them know that I'm okay, even though I was okay. Like I said, my siblings knew, my close kin knew. Okay, Dale is fine. Dale has to do Dale. She's gonna be okay. She has to get herself together. So yes, to all those who love me and that I love, I got the messages, I got the texts, I got the emails, I got the flowers, I got the fruit, I got everything, and I appreciate you wholeheartedly. And I tried to send out thank you cards, thank you notes, thank you texts. I even made a few thank you phone calls, but I couldn't contact everybody. And it wasn't because I was going through a depression, even though that may have been what it looked like. I was just getting things in order because the way I dealt with it was Brenda's song, if y'all know my mom, was I'm so proud of you. So I had to keep doing things, keep things going, keep things afloat where that montage would go on that she's so proud of me. So I had to keep things afire and afloat so that she could keep being proud. It wasn't anything else, no more, no less. That's all I was on. That's all I was doing. I do have friends who have, and not even friends, people I've worked with, people I've communicated with, people within the women's group who have gotten lost and stuck in the depression, and there was nothing at all that could bring them out. This is although depression is a very natural stage of grief. Dealing with it after the loss of a loved one can be isolating. So be mindful. If you're going through it, be mindful. The last stage is acceptance. Acceptance is, it's not that you don't feel the loss anymore, it's that you're not fighting the loss, that you have come to a safe, comfortable place and you're willing to deal with it. Sadness and regret can still be present, but the emotional survival tactics of denial, bargaining, anger are less likely to be present. And like I said, it's going to be different for everybody. It's going to be extremely different for everybody. But it's okay. We're all human and we're all going to be just fine. So keep your hand in the hand of the man with the master plan. Oh wow, I don't even know where that came from. That's one of them old sayings that my mom used to say. It is so funny. I just thought of that. But yes, we're going to go to a commercial and I'll be right back with more Choose You. Choose you. So many decisions that you have to make. Confusing, overwhelming, scared you'll make a mistake. Second guessing yourself, trying to see what to do. Whatever you decide, be sure to choose you. Life is to be lived, lessons to be learned. Give yourself a little credit. Collect what you've earned. Empower yourself. Take a mental break too. Wherever you go, be sure to choose you. You matter. You're worth it. What I say is true. In the end, you're gonna win, but you got to choose you. Science Child is an organization dedicated to the enlightening of girls from ages 7 to 17 and handling issues with anger, aggression, and bullying. Our mission is to infiltrate schools, churches, and communities with the message of anti-bullying and create awareness about the lasting effects of aggression and bullying. If you are interested, or you know a girl from ages 7 to 17 that may be interested and benefit from this program, please contact us at www.sciencechild.org. Again, that's www.sciencechild.org.